Hi everyone, my name is Gigi and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about dopamine, what it is, how it's affecting your mood, and also how to reset your brain through a dopamine detox. If you're wondering why you're constantly reaching for your phone, why you can't sit still, why you're bored as soon as you're not scrolling on your phone, an overdose of dopamine is the reason why. Before we go any further, let's talk about what dopamine actually is, without getting too sciencey. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, which basically means it's like a chemical messenger in your brain. It tells your brain it needs to do something to then receive a reward. It comes from several different areas in the brain, but all of this put together pretty much means you have built a reward system within your brain. This is a loop that tells your brain every single time, I need to do this to get this. I need to do this to feel like this. It evolved back in the day to keep us alive. It was the motivation we needed, the thing in our brain that told us, hey, we need to do this thing to not starve, to not dehydrate. It's the chemical in our brains that motivates us to seek out food, to socialize, to reproduce, to learn new things. If you think about it, it's like the step before serotonin. It spikes before the reward. So if serotonin is the feeling of joy and happiness and excitement that you have received the reward, dopamine is the thing that spikes beforehand to make us do the action to get the serotonin. If serotonin is the pleasure, dopamine is the go get that feeling before the pleasure. Dopamine is the exact reason you crave something. You get an intense want to do something because it is a dangerous loop. Dopamine is the exact reason you crave things. You anticipate to go do things. You want to do something. You crave sugar. You crave scrolling on your phone. You feel like you can't not do it, and then you do it. You get that happiness. You get that reward. You feel good. But as soon as that dies, you get the want to do it again. If you view it as a loop, at the beginning, you are seeking out that feeling. You want something, you crave something. Then you do the action, you receive the serotonin, you receive that good feeling, that reward. Your brain is happy. But then that feeling starts to die off. The excitement dies down, the happiness goes away, you get used to the feeling, and once again, you are seeking the thing over and over again. The loop keeps continuing. That's why people get addicted. That's why people can't go without sugar or junk food or drugs. That's why you're constantly reaching for your phone. Now, the issue with this is that back in the day, it was built for simple things like surviving, making sure we had food, making sure we didn't die of thirst, making sure our population didn't die off. Because again, dopamine is what makes us want to do something. It's that craving to go complete a task to achieve a reward. But in today's world, it's what keeps us addicted to things like social media and drugs. In some ways, we've actually ruined our baseline of what reward is. Back in the day, being rewarded was not dying, was not starving to death. It was very rare we got these spikes of dopamine. So why is this a problem? The problem lies in the fact that we are now overdosing in dopamine. What I mean by this is that rather than having small spikes every now and again, every single day we are spiking constantly just by picking up our phones, scrolling, eating sugar. Our brains don't know what the normal baseline level is, which is why you can't sit without your phone, why you can't sit in silence, why after 5 minutes you're incredibly bored. It's quite literally became an addiction. And all of these social media companies and big tech companies are profiting off of that. The reason social media is built the way that it is, short form content, TikToks, reels, catchy songs, catchy trends, social media companies and tech companies, fashion companies, makeup companies, every industry you probably can think of is benefiting off of people being addicted to dopamine. Phone companies know you're going to pick up your phone all the time. Back in the day, people barely used their phones other than to call people or send a quick text. But now we can't put our phones down. Instagram and TikTok are benefiting off of you constantly scrolling on their apps. Online stores are benefiting off of these companies showing you their ads and then you clicking on them and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling on their websites. What you don't realize is you are single-handedly keeping yourself addicted. You are constantly feeding into your dopamine addiction. Every time you pick up your phone, every time you scroll on TikTok, every like, every comment, every time you see a notification on your phone and immediately pick it up to see what it is. All of that contributes to a spike in your dopamine, and that spike is what your brain is seeking out. Now, it is so easy to continue doing this, to continue living this life where you just do what you want to do, scroll on TikTok for hours, comment, like, online shop. But what you don't realize is how much it is affecting your mood. As soon as that dopamine spike lowers, so does your mood. As soon as you're not feeding into your addiction, your brain is going to feel very bored, very aggravated. You're going to be seeking out the next spike. It might even make you feel anxious because you're not sure what to do with yourself. It's causing our attention span to get less and less. We're literally teaching our brain that we don't need to work to keep attention on something because there is something constantly going on. We're also teaching our brains that if we don't receive a boost of dopamine straight away, it's impossible. And this way of thinking is literally affecting our ability to achieve tasks. This type of seeking dopamine is the reason why a lot of people are failing in doing tasks towards what they need to do to achieve their goals. Because in the long term, it's affecting our motivation, because if we're not receiving dopamine spikes straight away, then it doesn't seem like it's working. It doesn't seem like it's motivation enough to keep going. We immediately believe that it's not working or it's failing because of the fact is we haven't immediately got a reward. It's making it impossible to resist impulses because we're teaching our brains every single day that we immediately get a reward, a good feeling, a feeling of happiness, excitement, of getting further and further away from boredom straight away as soon as we click something, as soon as we do something. We're teaching our brain to just do it rather than think about it, which makes resisting impulses impossible. Our brains are constantly overstimulated. We're constantly seeking the next thing, constantly seeking that serotonin from whatever task it is. We're not able to sit and think because we're constantly seeking the next thing. We're starting to see more and more behavioral issues in children and teens because of the system we are setting up for them. As soon as a child cries, we give them an iPad or a phone, something to do, something to listen to. All of these bright colours to stimulate the brain, to stop them from whinging. But in doing so, their behaviour is getting worse and worse because they believe they need that instant spike of dopamine. We are very quickly ingraining this style, this addiction, into our everyday lives, into our everyday society. And this is why detoxing from dopamine is incredibly important. If you're feeling overstimulated, if you're feeling burnt out, if you feel like you can't take 2 seconds without being on your phone, this is why a detox is so important. Now, when I say detox, I'm not talking about completely cutting out any sort of activity that's going to spike your dopamine, because that's literally impossible. We're talking about a chemical in our brain that is ingrained to make us do things. So if we completely cut out anything that spikes our dopamine, it's just not feasible. It's not going to work. In this detox, we're just trying to give our brain a rest, a break, to level out the normal baseline, to teach our brains to not constantly seek out a massive dopamine spike in everything that we do. First of all, you need to identify what is constantly spiking your dopamine. Are you someone that constantly reaches for your phone? When you do reach for your phone, what is it that you're reaching for? Is it social media? Is it TikTok and scrolling through reels? Is it likes on your photos? Is it dating apps and how many people you've matched with? Is it hours long of YouTube videos? Rather than your phone, is it something like junk food, sugar? Do you find yourself when you're stressed constantly going for donuts and cookies and sweets? Is it things like porn? Once you've identified what it is that you're constantly reaching for to spike your dopamine, start cutting it out. Now, I don't mean go cold turkey, but more like weaning yourself off of it. Every single day, take more and more of a step back. At first, take a 5-minute break. The next day, a 10-minute break. The day after that, 30, 40, 50, an hour. If you're someone that gets a dopamine rush from going out with your friends and drinking alcohol until you can't stand, try taking a weekend off instead. Try redirecting your energy to something else, a more calmer, relaxing activity. Replace the instant highs with a slow release dopamine task. This is something that builds long term rather than an instant spike. You can try reading, exercising, learning something new, meditating, something that teaches your brain not to receive an instant spike of dopamine, but rather a more drawn out and long term, which in turn over time will teach your brain not to instantly think it's going to get dopamine. This will teach you to be more patient, to understand things take time, which means you won't give up straight away if something doesn't work. Next, you need to create very strong boundaries with yourself. Create rules that you need for yourself that you know will work. These rules will go directly against what your addicted self would say. Maybe your dopamine addicted self would pick up your phone as soon as you wake up and immediately start scrolling. So instead, set a rule for yourself that you're not going to touch your phone for a whole hour after you've woken up. If you're someone that lies in bed for hours at night scrolling on your phone and you get 4 hours of sleep because of that, set a rule for yourself that you're not allowed to be on your phone an hour before you go to bed. If you're someone that constantly seeks out sugar and sugary snacks, stop buying them. In fact, tell yourself you're not allowed to buy anything sugary for a whole day, month, year. Turn off your notifications so you can't constantly get that visual and also audible reminder to check your phone. The next thing, and probably the hardest thing, is to train your brain to accept boredom. Now, this is the true reason why we keep going back to this loop, because we do not want to be bored. We do not want to feel flat and unamused. We have to be doing something. We have to be receiving a dopamine spike. So what if you trained your brain to be okay with boredom? Sit with nothing. I mean, no music, no phone, no TV, no games, nothing. Just sit and do nothing. At first, you might start with 5 minutes, then 10, then 15, and slowly build up your tolerance to boredom. The more you do it, the more your brain will get used to it. You'll slowly start to feel that creativity and that motivation come back because you're teaching your brain to sit in silence. It's not overthinking, it's not constantly busy, it's relaxing, it's clear, and that is when you will have the best thoughts. The thoughts that will keep you motivated towards your goals, the thoughts that will show you what the next steps are, the thoughts that were clouded by this constant thought of how can I get this next dopamine spike? Just by doing these things, you are resetting your brain. You're teaching your brain to start again. And if you continue to do these things, you will completely fall out of the habit. You will no longer seek instant dopamine. You will no longer keep reaching for your phone, reaching for the sugary treat. In doing this whole process, you are rewiring your brain because once you bring yourself back to that baseline of what a reward is, you're going to be more sensitive. Rewards will feel like actual rewards because you're not constantly getting them. Dopamine is what makes us human. It is part of being human, but we can control how much our dopamine spikes. So if you feel like you're not in control of that you're constantly seeking, that you're overdosing on it constantly, it's time to change it. So if you're really serious about this, I want to challenge you to a 7-day detox challenge. Starting from whenever you watch this video, I want you to start detoxing from whatever you think is your biggest enemy. Whether it's your phone, social media, porn, sugary food, or junk food. Identify what it is and then start detoxing from it. Day by day, draw back just that little bit more. And by the end of day 7, reevaluate how your life has been once you started pulling back from that. Once you started detoxing yourself. If you do this challenge, comment down below and tell me, how did you feel? What was difficult about it? and if you're going to continue on that detox. That is all from me today. I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to comment down below and I will try and get back to every single comment. Don't forget to subscribe and I will see you in the next video. Bye!